Well, it might be for Scotland, but the clubs are in absolute uproar. 9 of them, the top 9, all full-timers, want to break away from the Scottish League. Rebels looking for a league of their own. Money, of course, is at the root of most intrigues, but it has to be said that this is the gravest threat to the Scottish League since it was formed in 1890. The 9, all the Premier League with the exception of Clydebank, last week issued an ultimatum. Give us more power, a bigger share of the proceeds, or we go it alone. So where is Scottish football heading? Towards a Super League? And what happens to the other clubs? Will there be senior football in places like Falkirk or Ayr or Kirkcaldy? To discuss that, the Secretary of the Scottish League, Jim Farry, the Chairman of Hearts and the Rebel Club's official spokesman, Wallace Mercer, and Daily Record sports writer, Alec Cameron. Well, the row all started about live football coverage on TV. Interestingly, the last match either BBC or Scottish television covered was a Skol League Cup final, Aberdeen versus Hibs, which still attracted over 40,000 out-of-towners to Hampden Park. They saw it live, along with the TV audience.
Chases on for McDougall. Has Hewitt right behind. Oh, it's great play from Hewitt. Eric Black. 1-0 to Aberdeen. Hewitt's corner kick. Over away by Brazil, straight back to Hewitt. Will they start? 2-0 to Aberdeen. There's Simpson. Eric Black. Aberdeen start. And there goes the final whistle. Aberdeen are the winners.
Well, the row no longer concerns football on TV. The question now is who runs Scottish football, the big guns or the battery of smaller clubs up and down the country? It started off as a row about TV rights. BBC and Scottish Television wanted 2 live games this season. The first was the November the 9th Old Firm game. Rangers said they wouldn't let the cameras into Ibrox. But it developed into more than that. It was a chance for the Big Six to assert their right for more power in the game. But 27 of Scotland's 38 clubs still wanted the deal as arranged. That was a signal for 3 more clubs to join in, making it the Rebel 9. Dundee's chairman, incidentally, is Ian Gillethley, president of the league. More meetings followed, but the league would not even consider the 9's proposals on December the 19th. 10 days later, the big clubs went public. They wanted a bigger share of the money from TV, the sponsors and other subsidies. They threatened to go to the SFA to see if they would give them instant recognition. Wallace Mercer, as the spokesman for the 9, can I say this to you? I mean, a lot of people would say football is booming, the gates are up, the league is marvellous. Why should this be the time for there to be what, in the opinion of a lot of fans, seems like an indecent bit of squabbling amongst the football politicians?
I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, we're not looking for more power or more money. I mean, those of us that have major investments in clubs already have power, we already have status. What we want to ensure, however, is that the mass audience we already have, and that is the paying public, in fact, are catered for. We've also got to ensure that the employees, being our players, get better contracts. And live TV sparked off this issue. But there's obviously been a feeling for some years that, in fact, the smaller clubs and the league have maybe not structured things in a way which has worked to the benefit of some of the major clubs. And it has been apparent to me as a newer chairman in the last few years that there has been a lot of unrest over the years. And all you've now got is a crystallisation of this unrest. And let there be no doubt, the whole issue has been terribly badly handled over the last few months. I'm a member of the League Management Committee. I actually told them before they came out with these amendments to rules that this, in fact, was the thin edge of the wedge. No attention was paid to that. They went ahead with it. And now we're faced with a situation where 9-member clubs want to arrange their own affairs. And as far as we're concerned, Perth was the decision last week.
Can I ask you the one question, though? You do have 9 full-time clubs. Say they'll go it on their own. You can't run a league with 9 clubs. And I think what the fans want to know is what, if there is to be a new league, what will be the form of it? Who will play in it? What will the fixture list be like?
I think, in fact, that really is up to my colleagues to finally decide. We've had inquiries in the last few weeks from quite a few other clubs who would wish to join us. We're in no doubt, in fact, that we could get a very attractive league together. We've also had...
how many clubs?
Well, I don't want to prejudice that point at the present time, Ian. We've also had meetings with Manchester United and Everton and Spurs, and we're very keen on the idea of a British Cup. We want to maintain the audience we've got. Why should we just assume because the gates are there just now, that they will always be
But what
maintained.
criteria would be to get in the new league? I mean, you see, the people at Ayr might say fine if we're in it, or the people in Dunfermline or Falkirk or Hamilton might say fine, but if they're not in it, I mean, they're banished into the wilderness, aren't they?
The priority must be facilities, financial stability, the commitment to employ full-time footballers, to ensure that there is going to be a competitive competition and that people run their businesses properly. And as far as we're concerned, it has been a breath of fresh air in the last few weeks to be working with like-minded people. And it should not be that I am specifically the spokesman. People like Dick Donald and John Payton and Celtic are all working together on this issue. And really it's a very powerful force which is now putting itself on the map.
Jim Farry, you're secretary of the league, which still has 38 clubs, which, if Wallace Mercer and his colleagues have his way, might not contain 38 clubs. Hasn't it been the case that 38 clubs has been too many and some form of reorganisation has been crying out for long enough?
Well, Scottish football has a legacy which is now 96 years old as far as league football is concerned. We have soccer in many parts of Scotland. They're not all geographically equitably distributed, but nonetheless that's the present system. Many changes have taken place in the Scottish Football League setup, particularly the advent of our Super League, the Premier Division, which has proved a remarkable success. The management committee did feel that this dispute originated with two clubs way back in August, and it moved on to other things. We have only had a fortnight to receive proposals from the dissident 9 clubs. We have them under discussion presently, and it's incorrect to say that we rejected them. What we did undertake to do was to analyse them, consult with the other clubs, and to date we've been unsuccessful in getting a meeting with representatives of the 9 clubs.
Are you still seeking for that meeting? Is
Indeed.
it they won't speak to you or you won't speak to them? I mean...
Well, I don't want to reduce it to school playground antics, but in fairness, the management committee is willing at any time to discuss with any responsible group of clubs the future of the game in Scotland. We see that as the role of the management committee. We are disappointed that to date all of the discussions have taken place behind closed doors. We would like them opened up to involve the Scottish Football League member clubs, because it is they that have the future as well as 9 clubs.
Alec Cameron, I mean, one of the beneficiaries is the newspaper trade. I mean, it all helps to sell copies of newspapers, but I mean, is it an important...
Less and less.
Is it an important row inside football? Who do you back?
Well, I think it is a terribly important row. Jim mentions the fact that the league's been in existence for 96 years. I mean, these are all historical facts, but the world's changing. Every industry, and football is an industry, has been reshaped, changed in some way or other. So why shouldn't football? Obviously, this had to happen at some time. The question has been posed, has the current establishment situation, has it ever affected the big clubs? Well, it has. 10 years ago, when they formed the Premier League, the big clubs wanted one up, one down, and the little clubs wouldn't give them it. And this really is what is causing all the trouble. Also, surely it's reasonable that the people with the power, the people with the big supports, that they should be able to run their own affairs. Recently, the management committee, supported by all the league clubs, decided that the clubs wouldn't have the power to say what they would do in their own grounds, that they could bring in television cameras, put up advertising signs, and so on and so forth. I think this is totally wrong.
I still want to press Wallace Mercer on this point. 9 breakaway clubs, and you say you've had applications from 4 others to come with you if you join the league. What size will the league be, and how will the new regime, if it starts, decide whether Dunfermline or Wraith Rovers or whoever gets in? What will the criteria for being to join the 9?
Ian, I don't want to, in fact, make this a political discussion this afternoon. I think it's very important to get back to the basic principle that we warned the league in November that unless democratically they did not go ahead with the proposals they were going to put into force, that we felt, in fact, we couldn't exceed any further. All we've decided to do is walk away from the membership of the league. The 9 of us are now going to get our affairs together, and if there are other like-minded clubs, whether it be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10, wish to join us and feel that that is a better structure, obviously we've got to get our own business in order first of all. Why that should be the case.
So I mean, if 9 clubs came along, you go back 10 years to what it was before, with say a first division of 18 clubs. I mean, is that what you've got in mind?
Ian, you're assuming it's going to be 1 league. It could be 2. It could be even 3. I mean, the whole lot, all 38 clubs could go with Rangers and Celtic.
No, I'm just saying one journalist the other.
nine.
I mean, I think that we would be better able to discuss this if the people who are breaking away and tell us exactly what they intend
But
doing.
I think, Ian, we are not breaking away. We are reorganising our affairs.
Until they know who's going
time.
to come in, they can't really say that, can they? I mean, at the moment, there's 4 clubs 4 additional clubs said they'd be interested. But I think there could be 20 or 25 clubs, at least, who would say that they want to go with the...
Jim Farry, do you think that the dissatisfaction is as widespread as that? 25 clubs say we don't like the Scottish League the way it's organised at the moment?
No, I think that's journalistic licence. I think that the position is, as far as the Scottish Football League Management Committee is concerned, that we understood that the wishes of the 9 clubs were to resolve this within the present structure. It's somewhat disappointing to receive on the 19th of December a set of proposals, which week before Christmas, and the first week into the new year, we gather that the clubs may be considering Breakaway. Where was the resolve to undertake it?
Sorry, Ian, patently this is ridiculous. At that League Management Committee, there was 2 people who had the temerity that they wanted to bring my colleagues in and tick them off and fine them for having the discourtesy to discuss their affairs in private. It is ludicrous. We're not schoolboys. We're businessmen. Our responsibility is to our customers and our employees. We are not going to have our businesses dictated to by people who do not have the relevant experience or the capital. Now, if that means we can't get our organisation sorted out in a democratic fashion, we've got no other alternative but to leave the club. We are not closing any clubs down. Let them get on with their own affairs. Sorry, let them continue running their businesses as they see fit. As far as we're concerned, we feel with 9 clubs, with our linkage with England, and with 1 or 2 other clubs, we could probably set up a very sensible football structure.
But this is football. I mean, what happens to the Brecons and the Alloas and all those people who are important parts of social communities?
Well, the 9 clubs have, they realise that these clubs must exist, but it's a question of power. It's a question of relating power to their drawing power. I mean, why, for instance, should, I'm plucking clubs out of the air, Albion Rovers and Brecon City, tell the 2 biggest clubs in the land, or Aberdeen and Hearts, what they should or shouldn't do? I mean, the thing is just ridiculous.
That's a good question.
It's like Sri Lanka telling Russia what to do.
Why should, in fact, a very small-time outfit tell a big employer like Wallace Mercer or the other big clubs what and what not they should do?
I don't think there's any evidence that any one club would choose to do that. The history of the last 10 years has been very progressive as far as the Scottish League football is concerned. We introduced the retention of home gates. We've introduced a ladder system of distribution of awards. We've introduced sponsorship monies into the Scottish Football League, and the further you go in competitions...
See, it's not a reporter you need on this job, it's brass monkey.